Sea of Thieves adventures are a huge waste of the devs' time and resources. With constant formulas of excruciating sail time for simple rewards like pocket watches that no one cares about, adventures have led less and less people to play these time-limited events. But you might want to hold off on swearing them off forever because Mike Chapman tweeted that in the future, we'll have adventures but with improvements. But that's all we know so far. So with the new volume of adventures coming with a bunch of improvements, here are some problems and fixes that would make newer adventures 10 times as fun and replayable. Firstly, one of the biggest problems that the community had with adventures was that they were time limited by 2 weeks. If you couldn't play it in that time, then you lost out on the FOMO cosmetics and storyline. Not only that, but the time spent on these adventures that could have been spent on other updates completely goes out the window. But recently, it was confirmed in the Sea of Thieves podcast that adventures passed to Adventure 12 will no longer be time limited and will be replayable. So if you miss the 2-week gap, then you'll still be able to play the adventures, and the devs' time spent on these won't go wasted. A step in the right direction, but there's still much more work to be done. One of the problems that adventures had was how much sailing was required. There felt like there was more sailing in the events than there was actual gameplay, and that really drew a lot of players back. So for the improved adventures, there needs to be a pushback on the amount of sailing. Having a sailing trip or 2 is normal, but having any more than that makes it almost unbearable. Make it more about the story and less about sailing. And speaking of the story, there were lots of moments in the adventures where it felt like I was simply running errands for the protagonist. Oh, I lost my special blank. Use this to track down this and this, go back to someone to build this, use this to go dig up this at the location while fighting off a bunch of the antagonist minions, then when you finish, return to me. No new mechanics, no new characters, nothing. To help with this, change up the objectives of the adventures, like having to explore a new underground room like in Adventure 12, or having an adventure where we have to help build Flameheart's ship. Another large problem that lots of players had with adventures were the rewards we were given upon completion. For instance, the more recent one we were given was Pendragon's Pocket Watch. Unfortunately, the only time I use the Pocket Watch is when I accidentally hover over it with my mouse. To combat this, keep the smaller things like pocket watches and ship trinkets, but make more enticing rewards such as ship pieces or weapon cosmetics, and maybe throw in a curse for a really special adventure. Another way to spice up the adventures would be to add more player deciding quests like the Lost Sands adventure or the Return of the Damned adventure. It seems that Rare is using these very sparingly, but in actuality, these should be used way more because it gets the community more involved in fighting each other. Not only that, but it added lots more to the game. Lost Sands brought us the keg rowboat, which brought a whole new variable to PvP and made it more exciting. Return of the Damned brought a bunch of players to the fortresses, which became a PvP hotspot and a 2-for-1 deal for PvE players. It also gave us something to work towards and something to do instead of sailing around aimlessly for a fetch quest. Using all these features, the adventures will become welcome back into the Sea of Thieves community, but until then, it'll still be the laughingstock of Sea of Thieves. If you like my content, how about you go tell me on my Twitch where I might be streaming Sea of Thieves right now? And if you want to learn the rarest Cutlass cosmetics that you can still get, then click on this video right here and learn all about them.